Hi there. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably know that I've been recently making some changes to my Ford Ranger. And in this video, I'm going to take you through some of the modifications that I've made. But first, I want to talk about why. I love landscape photography. And not only do I enjoy the process of making a landscape image, but I just enjoy exploring and being outdoors and observing nature. It's why I create the types of videos that I do on the channel. If you've watched some of my videos, you'll know that when I go camping with the family, we take the camper trailer, which I've got to say has been fantastic. But as the kids have got older, we've found that we've been using the camper trailer less and less. So at the beginning of this year, we decided to sell the camper trailer. So for the past 6 months, I've been trying to work out what I wanted in the new setup. I've been trying to rethink how I camp and travel around to try and increase my opportunities for landscape photography and also improve my general experience. WA is full of unique and beautiful landscapes, and while lots of them are pretty close to populated areas where there's accommodation, there's plenty of other locations that I want to explore that are in more remote locations in the state. So I'm looking at doing more remote touring and accessing locations that may require four-wheel driving. I often travel to locations that I photograph on my own, so I needed to consider increasing the safety of the vehicle and also use products that are reliable. While many of the places that I go to don't have accommodation, I actually prefer to camp out because it gives me the flexibility of being able to get up and get out to a location whenever I want. The camper trailer was great, but it wasn't easy to set up when I was on my own. So with this next setup, I'm looking at something a little bit simpler so that it is quick and easy to set up camp. I want the ability to stay in a remote location for multiple days. This will allow me to really get to know an area well, and maybe even the opportunity of shooting a landscape in different light. So I'll need the ability to charge all my camera gear and video gear for several days and carry with me all the water and food that I'll need and be self-sufficient while completely off the grid. So Lachlan and I have stopped off at a little reserve somewhere between Gamelling and 2J just for a cup of tea and a bite to eat. And I thought I'd just take you through some of the changes and modifications that I've made to the car. The biggest, of course, is that the Ford Ranger that I had a tub, and I removed that and replaced it with this Canopy. This Canopy is built by Norweld in Queensland. It's beautifully built. The craftsmanship, the workmanship on the welding and stuff like that is just amazing. I'll give you a closer look at that. But also the design, it's been really, really well thought out for just what I want and need in a canopy to be able to store my camping gear, my camera gear, to be able to recharge, and to be able to be off the grid for days and days and even weeks. So let me take you through it. First off, we've got the slide out fridge that slides out and also drops down. I've hung on to my old Engel. That's actually originally belonged to my wife's parents. That has been going for probably 30 to 35 years and still going strong. Then I've got a drawer on this side where I've got where I store all of the pantry gear, all of the pots, pans, what I cook with, and the food. And then at the end here, I've got my bench. This is where I cook, I prepare food, and then I might cook on an open fire or a gas fire away from the car. But that's just really well thought out, as you can see, nice and easy. I've got storage on the top at the moment. We've got a couple of chairs there, and then I've got this shelf that goes right across the top And that's where I've got some tables, some mats, and stuff like that. So as you can see, lots and lots of storage, lots of options for storage as well. Down the bottom here, I've got some a toolbox. I've got the same on the other side. So there's lots of options there to store stuff that I don't necessarily want inside the main canopy. As we come around the back here, you can see that there is a ladder, all aluminium welded to the back there, along with a jerry can. We've got just a small tub here. I haven't got round to actually getting a proper size water jerry can, but that's what will go there. And of course I've got the spare tyre also. On the forwards there's a spare tyre spot underneath as well, but I have it on the back here just for a little bit of extra clearance. If I was to go on longer trips, I would probably stick the spare underneath or even on the top, because this also comes with a roof rack, as you can see, which is bolted on the top. Again, lots of areas to stick stuff. Coming around onto the other side here, slightly different configuration. Again, I've got a bench here where I can store stuff. I've got the two drawers that come out, and I can store stuff. So at the moment I've got pretty much my dirty gear in here, which is like my campfire stuff, the stuff that's going to get all messy. I've got a saw and an axe and my billy can, so anything that can get dirty I stick in there. And then on this side I've got more of the clean stuff. This is where I'm probably going to have a lot of the camera gear that I'm not using, and it's nice and close to the inverter, which I'm going to talk about in a sec. The canopies also come with a water tank which is underneath the canopy itself. It's a 43 litre aluminium tank. The input is there and it comes out gravity fed down the bottom there, and already on the couple of times that we've taken it out, we've found that really handy. So to be able to have water on board, which is really nice, and then I've still got my jerry can, and I'll have a couple of water bottles with me, or containers of water with me, just to be able to have that flexibility. You might be able to see that these two drawers here are of a different size. This one here is actually a short drawer, and the reason for that is I've got a set of batteries underneath or behind this drawer. That really is the foundation for the setup, because not only is this about camping, it's also about landscape photography, and I've got all that gear and all the batteries that power that gear to be able to recharge. So it all starts with a dual battery system. At the back there I've got two 100 amp hour lithium batteries from Revolution Power in Australia. They're fantastic units. So one of the main reasons why I went with lithium batteries, of course, was the weight. These lithium batteries are around about a third of the weight of the equivalent AGM deep cycle. But it wasn't just the weight, even though that was important. It's just the efficiency that you can get out of lithium batteries. They're unbelievable. With AGM batteries, you can run them down to around about 50% before you start doing damage to the battery. But with these lithium batteries, you can run them down to about 20% before they shut down nice and safely, and then you can recharge them. You can also recharge these really quickly, about 5 times quicker, which is really cool. And I'm going to take you through the different charging options that I've got. But being a landscape photographer, I'm not always in the one spot at the one time, so I can't really rely on the one way of recharging them. So to be able to have batteries that recharge really quickly, no matter whether I'm using solar or whether I'm using the DC from the car, having that option and being able to recharge really quickly is important. These are also lithium batteries that have been designed and engineered in Australia. So they are designed for the conditions that we get in Australia, the tough four-wheel drive conditions and the heat that we often get, particularly in WA. So for me, they were just a brilliant investment, and I'm really happy with them. They've been fantastic. Let me take you around to the other side where I'll walk you through how those batteries are managed. So on this side, we've got the brains of the whole thing. Starts off with the battery management system from RedArc. It is a BSM Management 30. It charges the two lithiums that you can see tucked in behind the fridge there, behind that other drawer. And I call it the brains of the operation because it works out the best way and the most efficient way and the most environmentally friendly way to be able to recharge those batteries. There's three ways in which it's set up. Either I can recharge them when I'm running the car off the DC power from the alternator. I can plug in a solar blanket into the power outlet, which is just on the outside there. I can run that a couple of meters away from the car, get the solar blanket in the sun, and it'll recharge from that. And then I've also got the option, if I'm near mains power, I can just plug it straight into that as well. So there's three different options depending on my circumstances and where I'm at. You can see the way that it's been wired up. I've got some fuses here. I've also got this panel, which is the manager itself, and I won't take you through how to do that, but it gives you lots of different interfaces and screens, so you're able to have a look at how much current's being drawn off the devices that you're using when you set up, how healthy the battery is, how much voltage the battery has got, and or how much it's drawing, and how quickly it's going to recharge. So there's lots of really smart technology in that. That means that I'm able to work out what's actually happening with the whole recharging system. I can even tell you how the temperatures of the batteries themselves. So that's fantastic. Then throughout the canopy, of course, I've got all of these different outlets, the power outlets. I've got a couple of USBs there. I've got a cigarette lighter charger there for 12 volt. I've got a couple on the other side as well. So as you can see, there's lots of different power options that I have throughout the canopy, and when I use it over the next couple of months, I'll get a bit of a better idea of exactly what I'm using, and I can always put in some more outlets as well. So on the other side here, I've installed the Red Arc inverter. It's a 2000 watt inverter, and it means that I've got a 240 volt outlet here. So anything that I want to run, like a coffee machine, I suppose, even my laptop, something like that, I can pop it here and it'll run off that outlet. Not only do the batteries charge the outlets here and the inverter, they also charge the lights here. So I've got a couple of camp lights that are just tucked in underneath the canopy lid here. It gives you a nice even light when it's getting dark. The canopy itself is heavier, and when it's all loaded up with my camping gear and all the camera gear that I'm carrying, plus the batteries that are on board, the fridge and everything, it is actually a little bit heavier than what it was when I just had the tub on. So to be able to cope with that weight, I had a GVM upgrade done to the car. The car has been kitted out with a Dobinson suspension touring kit. That is new Dobinson leafs on the back, Dobinson springs on the front, as well as Dobinson IMS monotube shock absorbers, which are really, really good. The setup is designed to be able to cope very well with corrugations, which I hit most often when I'm driving around, and also be able to cope with the sealed and unsealed roads that I drive on, as well as four-wheel driving. My experience so far, even on sealed roads, is that the drive is so much more smoother. I'm really, really impressed with this setup. I've done a little bit of off-road, and I'm just amazed at how well the car has handled uneven surfaces. So I just am really, really pleased with the setup, and thanks to the guys out at Malaga Suspension who installed all of the kit for me on the car. As a landscape photographer, when I'm shooting a sunset or a sunrise, I'm either getting to a location or I'm leaving a location pretty much in the dark. So it's important that I have some really good lights to be able to light up the way. So at the front here, I've had installed two of the 7-inch Dominator Extreme lights from Road Vision. These give me a nice strong beam hundreds and hundreds of meters ahead down the road. I think they are 1 lux around about 600 to 700 meters down the road, and half a lux over 1300 meters down the road. So these are really good. But it's also important for me to be able to see what's on the side of the road, whether there's kangaroos, emus, or any other wildlife that are about to stray onto the road. That's why I've had these light bars. These are a 10-inch light bar on the side here, again from Road Vision. They give me a nice even spread of light out to the sides so that I can see anything that might be making its way onto the road nice and early so I can avoid it. The antenna, of course, is for the AGM UHF that I've got installed. In the cab is a TX3350. It's a nice small unit, and most of the controls is actually in the handset. So I can plug that in and control it, and then when I'm not using it, I can just take it out, pop it in the glove box, and the main unit itself is tucked up behind the dashboard and completely out of sight. So it's a fantastic system, and a really good system to use as a UHF. Out the back here, I've got some other lights from Road Vision. These are the Sidewinder work lights. They give me a really strong light. They're wired up so that they come on automatically when I put the car into reverse. It gives me a nice amount of light at the back here to make sure that I'm not about to run into anything. These lights have also got a second purpose, and that is with a click of the switch inside the canopy here, I can turn them on and they work as a camping light as well, which is really handy. So that's it. That's what the Ranger looks like now. I'll probably continue changing things up as I try things out. For now, I'm sleeping in a swag, and I am on the lookout for a rooftop tent and awning. With this sort of setup, it's now much easier for me to get out and explore, which means more photography adventures and more video content for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this walkthrough and you get a better understanding of how I travel around. If you did, please give the video a like. If you have any comments or questions, then leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to them. Let me know what parts of WA you want me to explore next. Subscribe for more adventures. But until next time, guys, thanks very much for watching.